Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Soup Bowl, where we talk about leading our lives. I'm your host, Renee Murdoch. Thank you so much for tuning in, watching, listening, and going on this life journey with me. And I am so happy to go along with you as well. Hey, what are we going to get into today? I don't know. I have some thoughts going on in my head. And just, maybe we'll go there, maybe we won't go there. But I just want to say it's a beautiful day outside. And I can't wait to get out there. It might still be a little brisky, but I can't wait to get out there because I have been tied to the computer. I'm going to write a big sign one day that says, "Let my people go," or "Let me go," right? One day. I don't know. But again, thank you for subscribing and liking. And thank you for just, going on this ride with me. So, hey, I had a question that was asked of, our class. And I want to just run it past you and then also kind of give you my thoughts in reference to it as well. So the question was, and this is about helping individuals, right? The question was asked if, would you help this individual? Now, here was the scenario. So the scenario is that there's an individual, you're at work, there's a meeting or whatever, and you meet this individual, and you sit next to them, you're talking, and you're mingling, and you're like, man, this person is really cool. And you guys are just sharing stories. You have a lot of things in common. You have a lot of things that are not in common, but you guys are hitting it off great. And you go on break, whatever, you come back to this particular training, whatever, and you're sitting right next to the same person again because you guys like each other. You want to sit next to each other. And so class is going on, whatever, and then there's another break. And, you're almost at the end of the day. And this individual gets a phone call, and they take the phone call, they come back, their demeanor has changed, and you can tell that there's, something going on with them. And so you ask them if they're okay. And the individual says, not really, I think it's going to be okay, but I don't know what I'm going to do. Then they proceed to ask you to borrow $500. And, it's just like, what? So, and they're like, hey, I'll pay you back. But I'm really, I got a call from a loved one. And I'm just, really in a bind. Boom, that's one scenario. So the second part is that this individual is saying, person, you meet them, whatever, training, your work, at work or whatever. Your first encounter, you guys, chum it up or whatever. And then that day goes by, the next day goes by, you see that individual at work again, you guys are talking, hey, you exchange numbers, you even go to lunch together. This is your lunch buddy. This is your lunch friend. And a month goes by, and again, they get a phone call, and boom, they come to you, and the end of the scenario is, they would like to borrow some money. Would you allow them to borrow money? Now, what is the difference between scenario 1 and scenario 2? Well, the difference is time, right? So you met this person, you all hit it off, and it was just a day. The next second scenario is you met this person, y'all hit it off, it's a month. Regardless, right, they're asking to borrow money, and would you allow them to borrow money? Now, my first thing was, yeah, I'll let them borrow money. Whether it was scenario 1 or scenario 2, I would let them borrow that money. Now, some people have said, no, I wouldn't. It's you're mixing up church and state, and you're mixing up personal and professional. And when money gets involved, things can change the dynamic, especially if the person doesn't pay you back. And let's be honest, right, that, some of us, right, we might be feeling really some type of way if we see that person purchasing things and they still have not given us our money back. Some of us have been there, right? Well, I was thinking that, again, doing a self-evaluation, would I allow this person to borrow money, regardless of whether I knew them for a day, a month, a year, and they were quote unquote, again, not a person, a family member, whatever. So for me, whether you're a family member, whether you're a friend, whether you're a coworker, whether you're someone that I just met on the street or bypassed or whatever, I think if you are asking for something and if I have it as a resource, then you can have it, right? I am not willing to give us something that I'm not willing to not have to begin with. So when someone uses the word, I've learned this over time, right? That when someone uses the word borrow, that they're willing to pay it back. And when they use the word may I have or can I have, right, is that you shouldn't be expecting anything in return. So I used to live by that, right? Well, no, now I'm living by whether you say borrow or make, that I'm not going to give you something if I'm not willing to not see it again. Because then that would, make me feel some type of way, whatever, towards the individual or towards the person. And then, it's not helping me out. It's not helping them out. I'm just like, I see them, but I ain't dealing with them. But I can say is that if they did not give the money back, then I understand who they are, where they're at. And then, of course, you couldn't come to me again and borrow money. But I don't think there's time that would tell you whether someone would pay something back or not. Because you can, hit it off with someone within a matter of minutes and feel safe and secure in that time span versus someone that you've known for years. It is very possible. It is very possible. That person does not have to be within your family unit. They don't have to be blood. It doesn't, although we know that time, right, does change things for the most part when it comes to relationships. But if you are in a position where you are unsure, right, of a situation, then don't lend the money. Don't get yourself in that position where you, right, or you don't even have it, so to speak, and then you're looking for this individual to pay it back. Because I have, lend money to different scenarios and people, whatever, and I'm not really looking for it back anymore. It's just kind of like, if they get it, bring it back, great. If they don't, hey, we're just not going to be borrowing money from over here anymore. This pot is dry to you, right? So, but, excuse me. But so, you have to think about that. And I really thought about that as an individual and how we see one another and how, that time span when we're saying, I will know someone, right, based upon time, whether I can trust them enough to do this particular thing. And so I have known people for years, and I would think that they would, right? You know me, I know you, apparently, that you would return this money to me. And on the offset, it hasn't happened. But someone that I've known in shorter time span actually returns the money, right? So when it comes to those things, it's using like discernment, right? And then also just knowing, hey, and sometimes I might not even be the one that's giving the actual monetary, right? I might say, hey, have you tried this resource? I'm not just going to leave the person out there, because you will know if someone really needs help or not. You would know this. And I say, like, we have to like know our hearts and our limits and our boundaries when it comes to certain things. My perspective is, especially if it's someone from work, why am I not trying to build a good working family type unit with individuals that I work with? Majority of my waking hours are with the people that I work with. It's really not with the people that I live with. It is with the people that I work with. So if I'm spending majority of my time with the people that I work with, would I not put time and effort into that as well? A lot of us have that mindset of I'm at work, and I see you when I get there, whatever, deuces, I'm out. But these are the people that you work with 8, 10, 12, 16 hours a day, depending on what type of, job that you have. And so is it not important to put as much effort into building something there as it would if someone that was living in the same household that you are? Would your work not be more effective if I understood how you function and how you operate, what triggers you, what, brings you joy, what brings you happiness? Can I see from your facial expressions, even the tone of your voice and your body language, that something is bothering you? And would I pause long enough to ask you how you are doing? And if there's anything that I can do to help? Am I curious enough? Do I care enough? See, I think we spend time not on the things that have value, and then that gets us flustered. We spend too much time on things that have no value and on things that have value, which are people. People are valuable. There is no number that you can place on an individual to say that, oh, that's value, or they're worth this, or they're worth that, or worth this, or whatever. There's nothing that you can do or say to that. I remember when I was younger, that my time I would spend thinking and debating, trying to prove my point to individuals or whatever when I was at work. And it didn't always go over well. It was always, Shawty's got something to say, oh, just a second, I was trying to figure out, I had washed my hands and I lotioned them. I was trying to figure out what happened to my rings just that quick. I was like, yo, what happened to them? Okay, so I found them. They were in my pocket, so I had to put them on. But again, so if we're on this particular, job that I had, I spent a lot of time worrying about the wrong things. Meaning that it was always a battle. I was always ready to take the hill. Let's go, let's take the hill. And it was like, and I'm laughing now, of course, but I was always fighting something. I was always fighting people, right? And their viewpoints and trying to persuade them or trying to get them to see, no, there's a better way. No, that's not right. That's not fair. That's, and not realizing that, you got to pick and choose your battles, right? You have to pick and choose your battles. And, but understanding that these are the people that I work with. Like if I want anybody to have my back, it should be these people. Now, am I going to go around and be fake and, not be, true to myself because I want people to like me? And so I'm just like, yeah, I want them to like me because, whatever. So I'm not going to be. No, you don't want to do that either. But you do want to be intentional about spending, time to get to know people. Who's in the office next to you, cubicle next to you, who's working alongside of you to build this. This is the person that I need, because no one's doing a job out here that you don't need somebody else's assistance. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you work at. You cannot do your job without the assistance of someone else, because it would not be complete. It just wouldn't be complete, right? If I want to bake a cake, I need to go to the grocery stores and get the ingredients. And there's people that I have to go through to get those ingredients because I can't get the ingredients without paying for them. I can't get the ingredients without the person that's stocking them. I can't get the ingredients without the person that's delivering them. What about the people that are manufacturing them? So there's a process, and there's a 360, right, that we call with this circle of life, Lion King, that we need to understand how we all, are functioning and operating together. Is there something that is so bad or so, terrible, whatever, that I cannot work alongside this person in harmony, in true harmony, not in toleration, but in harmony? Would it bother me that much to be a resource to someone? Now, of course, the example displayed money, and a lot of us feel some type of way about money and sorts of things of that nature. But if it was not money, right, it could be anything. Do you or do we understand that the resources that we have, right, is to help other people and not just to help ourselves? I truly believe that whatever you sow, you shall reap. If I'm going to show kindness, then I shall reap kindness. If I shall sow gentleness, then I shall reap gentleness. If I sow forgiveness, then I shall reap forgiveness. If I sow in bountifully, right, then I shall reap that as well. If I'm sowing discord, then there shall be discord around me. If I'm sowing confusion, then there shall be confusion. So I truly believe that these things will come back unto you. And so if I have a resource, I'm not tight-fisted where nothing can get in there. No, I'm open-handed. If I have it, you can have it, right? Now, am I going to give you my house and then I don't have a house to live in? No, that's not what I'm saying. Okay. Like, I'm generous, right? But I need somewhere to lay my head too. But I'm saying, like, I have an extra pen. Like, no, this may seem very minor, but literally, I really was like this. Let me tell you, this is the way I used to be. So I had this thing with pens. I have this thing with everything, but this is the story about the pens. And so I would have certain pens that I would carry on me. And they were my pens. My pens. And when, you had to go fill out paperwork or something like that, there'd be people that do not have a pen. And I really didn't let people borrow my pen because it was my pen. It was just this one pen. There were certain types of pen. They were called Dr. Pilots. And there were certain types of pens, but they were mine, right? And so I really didn't like people touching them or anything like that. But if you called me on a good day and there just wasn't nothing else around, then I would let you borrow my pen. I will stand there and I will wait for you to give me that pen back because it was mine. Right? No. Do not try to walk away with my pen. I will hunt you down. I will hunt you down to get my pen, right? You will be looking at me sideways like, did she really just come back for this pen? Yes, I did. That's what I used to do, right? Although there are trillions of pens in the earth, no, there was nothing like this one pen that I let you borrow. Now, remind you, it wasn't one pen. It was just the fact that it was my pen. So the next day I can have a different pen, but it was my pen. So like I would, take that one out my bag or off my uniform and put it in my drawer, and I would have another pen. Or if it was in my bag. The point is that it was my pen and that I could not let you have my pen. It sounds very, very bad, which it was. But hey, we grow, people, we grow. So I wouldn't let you have people be like, oh, let me use your pen. And they will walk away. I'm going to give it back. And then literally, okay, So one time someone borrowed a pen. They said they were going to give it back. I was like, okay, you're going to give it back, whatever. I see them every day, right? So this particular time, the next day comes, boom, they end up on the road. I don't see them. Then the following day, I see them. And I'm like, hey, where's my pen at? Oh, let me look. So, they going through their stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I think I let such. Well, what? You let somebody else use my pen? But you said you was going to give me my pen back. Like a whole theatrical people about a pen. Why was I like that, right? It wasn't just pens. It was food. It was shirts. It was just stuff. And I believe it was because growing up, I always felt like I never had my own. That I had no control over what was mine. I mean, like, if my mother was to buy me something, i.e., like we went to the store and they used to have those little Debbie snack cakes, and so all of us children would get one, and they would consume theirs. But I will hold on to mine. One day I'm going to eat this. This is what I would tell myself. One day I'm going to eat this. I'm going to savor this. I'm not going to eat this right now. And so I would come home with it, and it would go in the refrigerator or go in the cabinet, whatever. Well, a week later, it'll be gone. No one knew who ate it. It was a mystery of who ate my little Debbie snack cakes. This happened all the time. Of course, my siblings would tell me, you should have learned, right? That's what they say now. You should have learned not to. And I'm like, no, you should have learned not to take, right? But I was just trying to figure out maybe one day that they would not eat my stuff. But I mean, eventually, of course, I would consume it. By then, I just didn't keep letting it happen. But the point of this is that I had to learn that, your resources is not just for yourself, and nothing else can come in if you're holding on to things. And they're just material things, right? They come and go. Pens come and go. It's just a materialistic object, right? Like this pen did not teleport me into the future or into the past. I mean, it was just a pen, right? But I'm laughing because I literally am seeing these incidents in my head and feeling just so bad about it, just feeling so bad about it that they probably was like, this chick, something wrong with this chick, right? But just knowing that, the resources that we have, when I started to be more open and started to be more giving and not putting all my treasures into materialistic things, that I started to see the harvest, right, of other things starting to take place in my life. And so, I am purposing in my life, even now, that to grow in relationships and with the people on my job. That I'm not going to look at people based upon, gender, age, even skill set, right? Because again, people are valuable and we all bring something to the table. If someone is asking for something, then I believe that there's a need. Now, can you get bamboozled? Yes, you can, but I believe that we're all smart enough that we can see those things coming a mile away. But why is that person even doing that? If you show them love, if you show them kindness, right, and tenderness and gentleness or whatever, that person will, eventually succumb, whatever, to doing the same thing. It's like when you're in an argument and the person is just going in, and you don't go in with them. So eventually that person has to come down to the same level of tone that you're using. I remember I was on the job one day And this particular leader, I have stories for days, but anyway, this particular leader, I was trying to say, hey, come back to the group. We're going to start here. We're in these breakouts or whatnot. And this individual, threw their hand up in my face and was like, no, I'm going to sit here and do, whatever work they were doing, right? They didn't want to come back to the group. Now I could have knocked the person's hand out my face and been like, psh, you don't put your hand in my face. I don't know who you think you are. I'm not a child. I'm not, I could have did all of those things. One, I'm not a fighter. I'm not a fighter with my fist. I was thinking about that the other day. Yeah, but I'm not a fighter with my fist. I'm more or less with my words. I would really try to find words to cut you deep when I was younger. But this particular time, I just kind of, tilted my head and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the classroom if you're not going to participate. So, of course, they're looking at me like, what? And I just walked away, right? I just walked away and went back to the front of the classroom. We're adults here. We are not children. This was not an incident that happened in high school or whatnot. We are adults. And you're putting your hands in another adult's face, which we can say that, assault and attempted assault and all this kind of things, right? But to belittle someone, in that manner, right? And then my response could have been, body. But again, I had enough sense that day to say, this is not towards me. I'm just the person that's receiving it versus something else that's going on. So I'm going to respond this way. And I did. And so that literally just diffuses the situation. Now here it is, you have a room of other leaders that are looking and watching what's going on. And no one's saying anything. They're just looking like what's about to go down, right? Because these are two women of color, and this is happening. And then one decides, yeah, no, I'm not gonna stoop to your level. I'm not gonna do that because this is not about me. I'm just doing my job, and you're trying to do yours. However, it is not the right time. This is not the place or the time for what it is that you want to do. And so if you don't want to participate, then go on now, go on and get out of my classroom. But anywho, that really diffuses the situation. A lot of, I want to say a lot, but my coworker, a couple other managers were like, wow, you handled that very well. We don't know what would have happened, if it went the other way. But again, I'm recognizing that we're human and we go through things. We all go through things. And so there was a cry for help. And so my response, at the end of the day and even the next couple of days where I had to talk about the situation was, let's get this person help. Let's talk to them. This is not something that we need to reprimand someone for because they're just asking for help. And so that's our responsibility. So when we look at whether we would help someone or not, I would say be open. Be open to helping people that are not extension of your family. Be open to helping people that are just not standing on the corner and panhandling, or that you even see volunteering at a place. Be open because it could be your coworker that is in need. It could be someone that you just meet that day and you may never see them again. But just know that if you want to be a part of something bigger than yourself, then you have to avail yourself and not be so tight-fisted, but be more open-handed and be willing, right, to lend your resources. Your resources might be a pen. It might just be a pen for that day. It might just be a pencil. It might be a notepad. It might be a warm meal to eat. It could be a coat. Or it could be money, 500, 1,000, I don't know, dollars. But are you willing to give of yourself? Ask yourself that question. All right, well, we're out of time. And so until next time, hey, we're talking about leading our lives, and it gets messy doing it when we're discovering how we need to change our perspective when it comes to certain things. So do know that leading is teachable. I love you, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Peace.